In Sefer Nativei Or, he writes harsh things. Why Mashiach is not coming, why the Geula is delaying. He says a lady called him at 8:30 p.m. and she says, my husband was supposed to come home at 7 o'clock. I don't know what to do. It's an hour and a half late. What can I do? What should I do? So he told her, listen, I'm sure everything will work out. I'm sure he's going to come back soon. And that's really what happened. But then he started thinking, what would happen if her husband wouldn't come back? Hours and hours, the whole night. What would that lady do? She would lose it. She would be crying. Why don't we cry? HaKadosh Baruch Hu took our Beis HaMikdash. It's been more than an hour and a half now. Did we lose it? Are we concerned? Are we crying? Mashiach wants to come. Mashiach wants to come back. So every so often he comes around and he checks us. He goes and he sees a guy who's crying. So he says, he probably wants Mashiach, that's why he's crying. So he asks him, why do you cry? The man says, my car broke down, I can't commute to work. Why do we cry? So Mashiach continues on his trip and he goes to the Koisel HaMa'aravi, and he sees a man who just finished up the whole Sefer Tehillim. And he's crying, when will Mashiach come? When will Mashiach come? So now Mashiach is happy and he says, that's what we're talking about? And he asks the guy, you really want Mashiach? He says, oh yeah, sure. Why do you want Mashiach? So the man says, I have many tzoros. I was just fired from my job. The only thing that can help me is Mashiach. Why do we want Mashiach? To resolve our own issues in life, whatever it may be. Shalom bayis, parnasa. Or do we want to get the Shechina out of Galus, Shechinta begalusa? Do we feel bad for the sorrow of Shechina, Tzar, Shechina, or we just want to get all of our problems resolved? Why do we cry? Do we even cry for Mashiach? Do we ask for him? A man was leaving on a business trip, so both his kids stepping out of the house with him, and they start crying, no, Daddy, don't leave, we need you, we want you. So he says to the little girl, here's some candy. So she says, okay, thanks, and she goes back to the house, and he realizes how important he really is. But then the older girl, she says, it's not about the candies, I want you, Daddy, I want you to stay, but he really has to go. So she starts crying. So what can he do? He starts crying as well. So he tells her, I'll give you $20. Where I'm going, there's a lot of stores over there. I'll buy you some new toys and books. She says, no, I want you. So now they're both crying. But he has to go. So when he arrives at his destination, he calls back home to see how she's doing. And the first question she asks him, Daddy, did you buy me those new toys? We can all be tempted by toys. As we age, the toys change. The candy changes. To a baby, it's a toy. To a baby, it's a candy. Then a little later, it's a new bike. It's something else. A little later, maybe it's a new house, a new car. Toys of the Olam Hazeh. Do we really want the real thing? Do we really want our daddy to stay with us? Or can we settle for the toys? How many times we see that if a very expensive silver candelabra, something very expensive that been passed on from generation to generation in the family, breaks, people cry. The mother cries, the father cries. It's been there for so long, it has sentimental value. Did we ever cry for the loss of Beis HaMikdash? Did we ever actually shed tears for Beis HaMikdash? Shechinta begalusa, the Shechina is in Galus. Imagine if they took out your father from his house and instead they put a donkey and a horse in the kitchen and in the living room, and they're doing what they naturally do. Number two, in the living room and in the kitchen, and in the bedroom they put a dog in your father's bed. How would you feel? What would you do? You would stop at nothing to make sure this is resolved. That's what they did. Instead of our Beis HaMikdash, they put Avodah Zorah. Chazal equate to donkeys.
and they defecate in that holy place. If the Kohen Gadol has an improper thought on Yom Kippur in that holy place,
wrong thought for 1 second, but he's in the Holy of Holies on the holiest day, he dies. And they took their donkeys and horses in the same place. So what do we do about it? Do we go crazy and say, no, it can't be, it just can't be? The honor of my father in heaven. It seems that all too often the only real concern and question that people ask on Tisha BeAv is, so do you know exactly what time fast is over? I just need to know. I'm just curious. I mean, Rabbeinu Tam, Magen Avraham, I just want to make sure. According to all the shittos, all the different opinions and halacha, but what exactly is the time? And how much time is left for the fast? Do you know exactly what time the fast is over? Did we ever ask? So do you know exactly when Mashiach is coming? According to Rabbeinu Tam and Magen Avraham and all the other shittos together, all the Rishonim and all the Achronim, but when exactly will Mashiach finally come? That is the question that we're supposed to be concerned with. We're supposed to cry because Mashiach wants to come and HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to redeem us. But it has to bother us so much so that we cry and we ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu to bring it back, and then He will.